All right, welcome back. You're watching Morning Prime here on KTN News, and of course we're waking up to that particular tragic story of Kelvin Kiptum, who has passed on, and we've been running you by that particular story. We had also from our reporter as well, Elvis Koskei, who was on the scene with fresh details of what really happened. Right now, we just want to also join the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Sports, in commiserating and just to hear his voice as well, lending his condolences to the country and the entire world. Good morning, Honorable Ababu Namwamba. Thank you for joining us here on Morning Prime KTN News. Such a heart-wrenching story that you're waking up to this morning. We saw also your ex expressing your condolences as well, but we want to hear from you. So you're learning about this heart-wrenching story. What is the way forward, and what do you have to say?
I mean, it is certainly not a good morning. Absolutely not a good morning. It's actually a horrible day. We have barely slept. I got this news just about midnight, and it's still something difficult to believe. I've been in contact with Athletics Kenya President General Tuwei. I've been in touch with the leadership of the county government of Marakwet, the family. I am making arrangements to travel to Eldoret this morning, just to have a view of the situation. But really, this is devastating. I mean, Kelvin was just starting out on a career that promised everything you could ever imagine, could ever dream of. We just honored him the other day for breaking his world record. His world record just got ratified a few days ago, and the target was to do a sub 2 minutes. It is something difficult to put in words.
Yeah, it's something we really come slow of words of what really to say, and we'll understand and appreciate also that expression coming from you. But we've heard also from Sebco, who had paid tribute to Kiptum, and saying that we are shocked and deeply saddened to learn. And Sebco said, sorry, Farah, you interrupted me a bit. I was saying, sir, that he paid tribute to Kiptum and said, we are shocked and deeply saddened to learn of the devastating loss of Kelvin Kiptum and his coach. I was wondering, have you gotten in touch also with the World Athletics body and the president himself so far, or you're planning to, in regard to this, and what maybe they have plans up their collective sleeves as far as the arrangements for the funeral is concerned, or what maybe that body has also for Kenya?
We have been in contact across the board. Last night, I also contacted His Excellency President William Ruto to give him the details of this horrible accident as soon as I got the details of it. And as soon as I get down to Eldoret and down in Kaptagat, E10, we will be in a position maybe to say a bit more. But for now, really, it is a dark day for this country. It's a terribly dark day for athletics, and for the young family of Kelvin. It's really terrible. I spent some great moments with Kelvin and his family, his wife, his children, and his parents. Just a few months ago, after his world record. I mean, I can't imagine what the family is going through right now. And so we will plead for a few moments this morning as we put everything together, and then government will be able to make a comprehensive statement.
Yes, indeed. We eagerly wait to hear that statement, maybe not preemptively asking as well, that a person of his stature, do you think maybe will be apropos also for the government to hold a state funeral for Kelvin Kiptum? I think maybe that is something you are yet to tell us, finally.
You know that, of course, this is a national icon. This is a global figure. We have already made some proposals. We have barely had any sleep at all. We have made some proposals. There are consultations that are already going on. And as I've said, in due course, later in the day, we'll be making a comprehensive statement that will shed light on all those issues.
Thank you very much, CS Sports, Babu Namwamba. We shall be putting tails on that particular story with you as well, eagerly waiting to hear the official government position of this with the statement that you'll be holding later today. So we shall be keeping our eyes peeled and keeping out our ears as well to hear more from you. Thank you for picking our calls, picking our call this morning here on KTN News. Thank you very much. And of course, that is Babu Namwamba, who is the CS of Sports, just giving also his voice and lending his voice to the demise of Kelvin Kiptum that we're waking up to this morning. A heart-wrenching story that has actually gutted most of us, especially when we know what our athletes are doing for this country in terms of sports economy, and of course also just flying high our flag there in the world. The world is in mourning this morning. And I just want earlier, before we continue the conversation, I think we are interspersing what we are talking about currently with the politics and what is happening. Elvis Kosgei was on the scene, and if you're waking up this morning and you're not actually captured the really gritty story or the gritty details of a story as well, Elvis alluded to what he saw from there, talked to the OCPD as well. Let's just hear from Elvis, who was earlier there at the scene at around 11:30, heading to 12 there.
You're coming to you from Flax area. This is in Chepkorio in the county of Elgeyo Marakwet, where athletics enthusiasts and Kenyans in general are mourning this evening. This follows the death of Kelvin Kiptum Cheruiyot, a Kenyan long-distance runner and the marathon world record holder. He's the only person in history to run the marathon under the 2 hours and 1 minute in a record-eligible race. And I'm now joined by the OCPD just to paint a picture of what has happened. Kindly, Bwana OCPD, asante kwa kujiunga nasi. Kindly tell Kenyans ni nini haswa imefanyika inamhusisha mwanariadha wa bingwa upeo wa kimataifa. Kindly bring us to speed, sir.
Thank you so much again. My name is Abdullahi Dair, OCPD KO South, Elgeyo Marakwet County. The evening of Sunday, towards the end of the Sunday, the late evening, we got an accident along Ravine Eldoret Road involving vehicle registration number KDL 566 Lecter F, make Toyota Premium, blue in color. The occupant of the said vehicle were 3. One believed to be Kelvin Kiptum, Chicago world record holder, and then Gerevius Hakiba, Rwandese national, believed to be the coach of the late Kelvin Kiptum. And then the third person was a lady Sharon Kiptum, who is still survive. So the accident happened along Eldoret Ravine Road, and we don't suspect any maybe cause of the accident to be oncoming vehicle or animal or any pedestrian crossing the road. We find maybe the vehicle just veered off the road and moved into the ditch and hit a big tree. That's where the vehicle ended.
The nature of the accident, umesema kwamba walikufa instantly ama ilikuwaje?
No, we just picked them from there with the ambulance, Chepkorio, the sub-county hospital. The doctor pronounced that.
Is this an isolated incident ama ini kwa mara ya kwanza kwamba pametokea ajali katika eneo hili?
Ajali hutokea sana mara kwa mara. Barabara ngali hata kama haina magari mingi, lakini ni area ambayo ina baridi, ni area ambayo inakuwa na mist, ni area inakuwa na forest. So at times inakuwa very hard to see, to see far. So ajali huwa inatokea mara kwa mara.
Your message of condolence to Kenyans, the family of the late Kelvin Kiptum Cheruiyot, and also the athletics world.
Nasema tu poleni kwa Wakenya yote na watu wa KU South, sababu tushapoteza, we lost a very great person who have just was just cleared recently from the tests that he underwent, and we have lost a great person. So I say sorry to everybody. It's a sad thing, but it has to happen also at times. Yeah, so let's just keep off the road and be vigilant on our roads, and the motorists to be very careful when driving.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've heard from the OCPD KO South, and of course from here we'll be headed to Rescos Hospital. This is in Eldoret in the county of Uasin Gishu.
Thank you, Elvis. It is a devastating night to the country and to the sporting fraternity for the loss of our brother and friend Kiptum, the world record holder. We have not come to terms with what has happened, considering that a few weeks ago, less than a week ago, his world record was ratified, and he was even yet to enjoy the fruits of his labor. And tonight we are here at the hospital mock mourning with all these people who are supporters, family, friends of Kiptum, his coach. It's a sad moment.
A sad morning to be here to hear about the tragic accident that has happened. Personally, when I was called, I didn't believe, and until I arrived here. So I witnessed and I saw for myself. I want to say it's really sad because we didn't expect this one. I want to say sorry to the family, the athletics fraternity, and the entire country. May God comfort us at this trying moment, because I can say for sure we are still in denial that Kiptum has not left here. But I want to say, Paul.
Just want to ask the rest of the members of the country to pray for the family of the departed heroes, and that we shall have peace in our hearts. We shall also join hands with the family and the sporting fraternity to ensure that Kelvin Kiptum and his coach get a decent, send off from the day side of us. We want to say poleni sana to the Kenyans and much more to the family.
In denial as athletes, and I can't say it is only athletes, but the whole world. We have all known Kiptum as our best, and even he was in our team for the Olympics. So we are just in this world as we are nothing. I can just say pole to everyone, pole to the family.
The family and even the whole world. And we just want to say pole to the family. We know Kiptum did his part, and he was yet even to enjoy what he had worked hard for. We looked forward for him to see him run during the Olympics. I don't know what we will be looking forward for. But Kiptum anda salama.
After Chirchir nilikuwa narudi kwenda njia Flax. Nilipofika hapa junction nikasikia mtu anapiga nduru, nikageuza pikipiki nikakimbia mpaka hapa. Kufika hapa nikaiona hii gari imeanguka pale chini, na kulikuwa na lady alikuwa amesimama hapo, alikuwa anapiga nduru. So mimi nikasimamisha pikipiki, nikatafuta namba ya OCS, nikampigia OCS akareceive, kaniambia sawa, hatua itachukuliwa. After that kuna gari ilitangulia kufika hapa wakaniambia saidia huyu mama, nikaeka kwa pikipiki nikapeleka hadi Savanis na nikarudi hata hapa.
The police officers are just here to confirm what exactly happened. From Nyaru area, this is along the Eldoret Eldama Ravine Road. Back to his studio.
Yeah.
Elvis Koskei there, just giving us a report of what happened earlier at around 11:30 a.m. You can see the devastation. That was a vehicle that we had, Kelvin Kiptum. If we may just have the picture back, director there, who was driving that particular vehicle, himself and his coach, that we understand right now passed on. It is only Sharon Hanem. The other name eludes me right now. That's Sharon, who was the female passenger that actually also, Sharon Koskei, who was the other passenger that survived there. I want us to be connecting right now with Lynn Washira. She's been also working closely with this athletes. She's a renowned journalist, and she is a communications person for Eliud Kipchoge as well. Just to get a sense of what is happening currently, just to tell us more about this depressing story that we're waking up to this morning. Hello, Lynn. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Dibao.
All right, thank you for joining us. What a heart-wrenching story. Where were you at as you got this information?
Well, it's definitely a very sad day. The air definitely does feel very heavy this morning. I mean, it's tragic. Not news a nation wants to wake up to or to go to sleep to. And where was I? I was in Mombasa. I'm in Mombasa. I was covering the Magical Kenya Ladies Golf Open at Vipingo. I was watching the Africa Cup of Nations, of course, and news just started, coming in here and there, and it's the kind of news that you hope is not true, but then, it's true, and it's really a tragic loss to the nation. We're speaking of a young athlete who came into the scene with such huge, an incredible, flair. He literally ran his first race and managed to, just run a crazy time at the Valencia Marathon in 2023 November. He then went on to win the Chicago Marathon and broke a world record, running under 2:01, becoming the first athlete to run under 2:01. And it's just unbelievable, to be honest, Dibal. This is a guy who was meant to run on the 14th of April at the Rotterdam Marathon. He was hoping to lower the world marathon record even lower. And further to that, remember, he's on the provisional team of the National Olympic Committee, of the Athletics Kenya, that is the athletics governing body, where he is, supposed to be among the athletes who represent the country at the upcoming Paris Olympic Games. So it's really tragic news, to say the least. It's a young guy with so much potential, gone before we could realize his full potential. And it just really reminds us of Samuel Wanjiru, gone at the same age, 24 years, 13 years ago, on a Sunday as well. Another Monday where hearts are heavy, an athlete gone, and all we can ask is, how great he would have become, the greatness that we will never witness. But more sad that a young family has lost a father. It's sad.
Yes, sad indeed. And you take me back to Samuel Wanjiru as well. Happened at least, I was also just in the morning show waking up to such a heart-wrenching story of him as well. And this is happening to Kelvin Kiptum so far. You're taking me back, and I can feel at least, what a sad moment that we are in. We've lost two icons so far in a span of almost maybe a decade, so to speak. But Lynn, I earlier spoke to the CS of Sports, Babuna Mwamba, and his indication is that we might be getting, or we will get a later statement from the ministry and what the government is planning to do for this iconic figure that we've lost in this country. From my own assessment, what should be such a treatment that this icon should be accorded in terms of the funeral arrangement? Do you think any state funeral also should be up the collective sleeves of the upper reaches of government on this? Leon?
Wow, that's a tricky question, Dibal, because, like government operations and what government can do, I believe it's governed by, some sort of regulations and some sort of stipulations. I know there's probably how far they can go, but the sports cabinet secretary is a man who has been very close to each and every Kenyan sports person. He builds relationships that are personal. He was able to fit Kiptum when he broke the world record for breakfast, and they had a really good time. And so I can imagine for a person who has experienced a Kiptum personally, this is also a loss that is really close to his heart. And I really don't know what kind of a send-off the ministry will be planning. As I said, I would believe that the state has stipulations. But for me, I'm already thinking, our flag should definitely fly half-mast.
Right.
This is an icon, truly.
Indeed. The flag should fly half-mast. And also, we should maybe declare some 3-day of mourning or half-mast. No, we shall hear from of course, the ministry concerned, if that will happen. Lynn, I really want to appreciate your sentiment this morning. Just finally, what would you have to say also? Because we had Sebastian Coe, who is the president of the World Athletics Association, also sending his tribute. And he said, we are shocked and deeply saddened and learn of devastating loss of Kelvin Kiptum, and his coach also, Gava is Haki Zemana. On behalf of World Athletics, we send our deepest condolences to their families, friends, teammates, and the Kenyan nation. I don't know, in your, of course, line of work, have you intimately interacted with Sebastian Coe? Maybe...
Yeah, I have definitely interacted with Sebastian Coe in many occasions. He is truly a World Athletics president who is really sold to the sport, very dedicated, and a person who, as a former athlete, a former world record holder, you would imagine he does not just rule from the boardroom. He's really, really, really deep into the sport and recognizes and understands what it means when a person breaks a record, or what it means, to achieve the kind of achievements Kiptum has achieved in a very short period. And you've got to remember that late last year, Kiptum was a nominee for the World Athletics Male Athlete of the Year award, and he ended up being named the best World Athlete of the Year on the roads category, that's on the marathon category. And they had a really amazing, intimate evening with just a few athletes in Monaco, hosted by King Albert. And, you could see they had a really nice chat with Kiptum. And remember, this year, it's a great year because it's an Olympic year. Mm-hmm. And everybody, including, of course, Sebastian Coe and each person who follows athletics so deeply, was looking forward to see what was going to be in store. Everybody was looking forward to the Olympics, to Rotterdam Marathon, to the marathons later in the year, to just see how his life was going to unfold. So yes, I would understand why, Sebastian Coe is deeply shocked. This is what I would say, it's not just, just a declaration. I would imagine, as a person who's had very close and intimate interactions, that he was definitely looking forward to see what he would blossom to become.
All right. Finally, did you know Haki Zemana, the coach of Kiptum?
I did not know him, and I have not met him personally.
Okay.
But remember, he is a coach who just came into the limelight, late last year after Kelvin Kiptum broke a world record. And, so heading to this year, this was the year that, a lot of people, a lot of journalists were going to interact with him, were going to interact with their training session, with their, race plans and just how they do things. Really, it was the year where everybody was going to be shining a light on, this pair, on this icon. Dibal, it's just really a sad morning.
Indeed. Lynn Washera, thank you very much for your sentiments. We shall be, of course, catching up with you later in the day as we try and get the clear perspective of the way forward. Thank you very much, Lynn Washira there, who is a sports journalist. All right, I'm still holding court with my panelist here, Farah Malim. You look a bit antsy. I know I've kept you guys for quite a long time, but this is the story of a day. Understandable, we never have a nature of this sort of stories. Sometimes, when I remember also when we were just having a show and Garissa, terrorism attack had to, it took place, and the conversation had to change definitely, and just to commiserate to the lot.
No, we our condolences. We so saddened. So everybody, all of us who are parents here, feel as personal loss. We've lost a son. We've lost a son, and an exceptional son. And I want to, my condolences to the family, to the parents who are around, and his children and the rest. And by the way, today is a little bit, is a bit of a day of sadness, because we've also lost my good friend Kingori Mange.
Yes.
Kingori Mange has also passed on. I mean, somebody whom I've known myself for quite a while, and has been a very, very personal friend. Yes. So we also, it's my condolences and my to the family, and we share the grief with them. We share the grief of losing our brother.
Thank you.
An exceptional person. And then when you go at the regional level, also Lowassa died.
In Tanzania.
The Lowassa of Tanzania, the former prime minister, who took a stab at the presidency of Tanzania also, has also passed on, somebody from the region.
Right.
And who is also a Maasai, basically. I'm partly a Maasai also myself,
Let me hear from Bakali. I saw Dunstan Mungatana, you saying half-mast, we shouldn't really fly the flag at half-mast.
I think that is...
Is it a pressure for...
the heads of state.
The head of state.
Normally the heads of state, if I remember my protocol well. But I wanted to say something. If you look at the place where that accident took place, just looking from where we are, it's completely dark. And the OCS there was saying that the place is misty, and the visibility is not very good. I think there are things that we need to think about very, very quickly, because normally the issue of safety on the roads becomes relevant when we discuss deaths when they occur in mass or high-profile people die. In March 2010, the United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution 64-255/255, and they said that we want to reduce the global deaths, fatalities from accidents by 50%. And then when you come to Kenya, you have 3,000 deaths every year that occur. Every year, 3,000 on average, which NTSA tells us it's like 5% of the GDP that goes to waste. So what do we need to do? I think the discussions, I'm sure, are everywhere now. But you see, lighting of our roads is a critical thing that the government needs to take seriously. Because I'm sure if the lighting was better, maybe we would have had a different result. Lighting of our roads. Number two, I think we need to change our habits, as one of us here has already said. If you must travel, can you avoid traveling at night? Can we just avoid it if it's possible? And if we have to do it, can we have the habit of doing not more than 100 if you have to? And unfortunately, younger people, and I am also guilty of it. When I was younger, I used to think that I must always try the car beyond 100. Now that we have children and we are older, I don't know, we are more afraid or what, but on the road, I can actually tell that's a young man driving. Even yesterday, I was telling my children, that's a young man driving. And sure enough, when we reach the traffic lights, it's a young man driving. So we need to do that culture of saying we won't do beyond this number of speeds. And I think, finally, I think it's good for us to create safety champions. You remember there were people who, on these condom issues, when we had a lot of AIDS and what, people who would stand even in the streets walking with those things, and talking about it, creating a conversation about it. There was a time the NTSA was doing something wonderful. They would put a crashed vehicle on these highways. And then whenever you pass it, especially if you are carrying your family, you tend to reduce the speed because you are reminded of what is happening. Now, maybe it is good also to create road safety champions, people in all these highways who would talk about these things and discuss these things and be on the payroll of NTSA, more than those who just run around arresting people. I think a cultural change will be need to be done through some form of a deliberate attempt to change behavior. Even teaching these good manners of driving in school. We may spend less, because think about the investments that we have lost in on this Kiptum guy. You know, all the billions that and what that were potential income to this nation, not even to himself as a family, and what you can't even cost the fame, the what that would come to this nation, the honor that would have come to this nation. You know, so saying that
you can't quantify it.
You can't quantify it, that's the word. So spending something in the curriculum to tell children you must drive nicely. When your father is driving badly, you must tell him. When he's not putting on the safety belt, you must tell him. If we can just spend a little, you know, it's not much at the end of it. Spending a bit on road champions, like Mtito and Day on our way to Mombasa or Voi. It's a stopover for so many of us who are driving down the coast. So if right there are people who are talking, you're talking about it, you know, dressed in colorful clothes and telling the drivers, you people, you know the way people are preached to, you know people are preached to even outside. So in Tito and Day, in Voi, for those of us who are driving to the coast, we should have colorful people talking about road safety and should be in the payroll of NTSA. Instead of just using cars, stopping people to charge them or whatever, you should actually go out on your way to promote culture change, to promote thinking that is different from what it is. It is better to arrive than to arrive late than to arrive to fail to arrive at all. You know.
Yeah, it's true.
So those are things that we need to have a national discussion about. Otherwise, it's a very sad thing that has happened, and we need to look at what can we do to prevent this kind of thing happening again.
Right.
Actually, just a very small rejoinder, particularly on the statistics that Mongatana has given us. Just picked out a bit of it, and the World Health Organization gives us staggering statistics of 1.3 million lives which we lose every year. And unfortunately, this is between the age of 5 and 29. That tells you we are losing a very critical age bracket in the world. And of course, in the context of Kiptum, he's barely 25 years, 24 years. He falls within this particular age bracket. And other than, of course, the fact that we haven't yet established exactly what caused this, I've just seen an OB of the incident, and part of the sad incident is, of course, indicating it's still under investigation. But this was at 11 p.m., 2317, self-involved fatal road traffic accident. And it could be, a consequence of maybe overspeeding. Yeah. Because if he drove off the road and did 60 meters after exiting from the tarmac and hit a tree, that tells you it must have been a car on a very high speed. And naturally the consequences of 60 meters off the road hitting a tree is automatic death. And although we probably have got no much information about it, it is one of those very serious conversations that we should have, so that even when we talk about the young one overspeeding, change of culture, the visibility on our roads, the effort that the National Road Safety Action Plan Authority relevant institutions are involved in, drunken driving. The most unfortunate thing is that most of the officers who are expected to do what Mugatana said, let us make our people appreciate that it's their safety. Instead of doing what they're supposed to do, most of them actually, their business is to catch those who are overspeeding. I use the Narok Bomet Road almost every weekend when I'm going to the county. And those cameramen and women, they normally put themselves in some very strategic positions shortly before the Ntulele police station, which is a traffic place where they normally nab those who are overspeeding. It's not aimed at, letting people know that they are supposed to change the culture and that there is a law in place about a section that has got road signs of not overspeeding or not driving beyond a certain speed limit. Their business is to catch those who have breached the law and penalize them or probably get a kickback out of them. Yes. And it's so unfortunate that in the course of all this, we fail to have our people internalize the importance of complying with traffic regulations. The more you sensitize the people, the more you reach out to them, the more you don't catch them, but instead let them know that it's about their lives, it's about their future, it's about their families, it's about other road users. We lose out on it. And so it's high time we come out and have a conversation beyond just what does the law says.
Interesting that as we just winding up, that just last week we had information that the Ministry of Roads or the Kenya National Highway Authority is planning to be taxing, hustlers 3,000 shillings for the usage of the road reserves. And we're just raising question regarding, I think I have it somewhere here, it was on the Business Daily. It says hustlers to pay 3,000 shillings rent daily for city roadside structures, right? And it says all of temporary structures on road reserves in Kenya's cities will be required to pay a minimum fee of 3,000 shillings daily under proposed regulations that will also allow the government to lease road reserve spaces. In light of this, you think that is something you can even think about? Why hustlers should be paying 3,000 shillings to use on the road reserves? I mean, it doesn't make any legal sense completely.
Remember the Londiani story where we lost over I think around 20 Kenyans or so. I can't remember the number. These were business people who were selling their wares along the road.
This side,
And when that truck lost control and
plowed into them,
it drove directly into a host of Kenyans who were doing businesses, selling maize, selling their wares. And it is not one of those things that we can take it lightly. I remember the immediate reaction then from the CS Transport and the team that went down to site is, if we didn't have these Kenyans doing their businesses along that road, we would not have lost that huge number. But it was actually over 40, there were 42 plus.
Why would we even have a legislation that is, condoning usage of road reserves?
The unfortunate thing is that Kenyans are equally struggling because
sometimes look at the proposal. What Kenya is proposing is that along the highways, at times there is need to have public facilities. For example, as you drive along, you find some areas you can't even have a place to help yourself in case you have a need. So what they were saying, they want to identify some strategic places where they could allow people to put some public, either small hotels, but just along the road. And then for you to develop that, because it's a private investment, then you pay to Kenya to use it. That was a proposal, but I think public participation has not been done for Kenyans now to give their input. But all said and done, there is also a way of collecting money. I think that's what basically the thinking, because they are thinking of toilets, they're thinking about small hotels where people can just stop briefly, get a bite, and proceed. They also think about some, I saw there was a proposal for just a relaxing place where you can relax as you proceed to the rest.
But which most likely should be...
I think that was a different, that was the idea, but this is completely different.
Oh, this is different. Yes.
Okay. Dibal, let me tell you one thing. Some of us who were driving when we were young professionals, same age with the late Kelvin, 24, 22, 23, 25. I remember that age myself as an expatriate worker outside the country. I had a short wheel Land Cruiser. And the maximum speed was 160. I reached the maximum speed and I was watching how much below I could go. I mean, young age has
The adrenaline.
Adrenaline. You know, so when I
been guilty of that.
When I remember that now, I feel a chill, you know, and I don't, you know, it's like you've died many times before.
Correct.
And you know, and sometimes I remember one time on the wheel on a BMW 518 in the early 80s, and I drove it, and I dozed.
Oh God.
The next thing I know is I see a very big truck oncoming. The good thing is that we had a big space on both sides, so I swapped, and I went for 200 meters on the side. I couldn't stop the vehicle. Just imagine if there was this big culverts, or any of these things, you smash into it, and that's the end of it. So somehow we have to try to talk to our people, because this is there. It happened. We did it. It came. We did it ourselves one time.
Absolutely.
So we need to, and then you realize that you missed death by I don't know how many times, 200 times. You know what I mean? In a similar fashion. So we have to. The conversation has got to be much bigger than that, and we want to be out there, Parliament, you know, the religious sector. Then the other thing that I don't understand why we can't do it is that in the developed world, there are cameras, and those cameras will pick up your speed, they'll pick up your car number, and you'll get the fine on the post. Technology. Very cheap, very easy.
Yeah.
If we're able to use M-Pesa.
I can relate. I can relate to that. You know, I bear the marks here.
Yes.
Of a tragic
accident.
Just as you.
Yes.
You know, with the rigors of our shifts, waking up early.
Yes.
I think sleep claimed me while I was driving.
Along
Bagathi Road.
Yes.
It was around actually 11:30 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
And I slept.
Yeah, there you go.
And the car just veered off the road. Yeah. I found myself
in a ditch somewhere.
In a ditch. But safety belt, thank God, it was on.
You're lucky
down.
Safety belt on, yes.
It was the administration police who actually came to the rescue. People milling over. You know, I'm bleeding.
Yes.
And I'm saying, whoa, had it not just been for the safety belt,
it would be a different story.
And then the issue that I actually was raising, you know, we were talking about these road reserves, we were having this conversation, was that had anyone been on that particular side,
you would
of
have
the road,
crashed them. You would have crashed them.
The Mamambogas that you were talking about, we should, where would I be?
Dead.
You know,
Where
would I be?
Would have crashed them. And we all have. I have a son. My second one is in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
My second one is in a wheelchair.
Because of the same reason?
Yes, he rolled in a car. He just got an international job. He works for a UN body, and he just was supposed to go out of the country. And he went to go and see my father, my mother, and relatives back at home in Garissa. And he rolled just before Garissa. And has been now for the last 12 years on a wheelchair. And everybody, I mean, look at Wanyonyi, you know, this exceptional colleague of ours in Parliament, who everybody has so much respect for, one of the best performing members of Parliament, with Angula's brother, Wanyonyi. Yeah, of course, in this case, it's a different thing. It was a bullet. It was a bullet. But you see, we have too many of those kind of accidents, people who are on a wheelchair, confined for the rest of their lives, productive people of society. So I think we need to look at this thing much more closely. Now I get worried every time any of my children travels.
Can it be a conversation at the National Assembly?
Absolutely.
Once you open, you have
both the Senate
and
the National Assembly, and it has to become a conversation. I'm sure tomorrow when we get together, we'll seek a motion of adjournment to condole with our son who was just passed on, and let's talk about this, because we all have this kind of stories back at home. All of us have. Now when my children, and I have a big family, when they travel out, I keep my, it's like my heart is in my mouth. I keep calling them, is your safety belt on? Where are you passing through? Are you going slowly? You know, this kind of things. And we just have to make this a national conversation.
Indeed.
National conversation.
Gentlemen, I really appreciate. I know we have not really done much of, but this is a premium story that we should give it all attention that we could. And I thank you so much. If you pick up this, have it in the National Assembly. As a special motion, you mentioned?
Motion of adjournment.
Yes.
And we basically,
and we have reactions there.
And then proceed on and create also status, go and amend the Traffic Act. And one thing we need to have is that we have to have a serious punitive measures for anybody who goes beyond a certain speed in a given area. There's a camera that catches you.
Thank you.
There's a very strong fine so that everybody is discouraged from overspeeding.
All right, thank you. Let me give Honorable Makale Muli also to just give us your closing remarks briefly.
Thank you, Dibal. As you said, It's really a sad day, but life must continue. Excuse me, sorry. We are resuming Parliament tomorrow. Our calendar is quite packed. So I just want to urge my colleagues when we get back to Parliament, we prioritize issues which can push this country into problems. Issues like IBC, the constitution of IBC, so that we get the commissioners in place. The NADCO report is urgent also. And before, I think this issue was really, Menda has not discussed anything else, but you remember last night there was football, AFCON. Cote d'Ivoire won. Congratulations to them.
Cote d'Ivoire won, yes.
Yeah, those are some of the good news, despite what happened in our country.
Indeed.
Yes.
When shall we celebrate Kenya's victory? That
maybe 2027 when we are hosting it.
All right. Honorable Mogatana, you close. Your closing remarks.
My closing remarks is also just to say, as we go into Parliament, we are going to discuss the national, the NADCO report, the National Dialogue Committee report. And one of the issues is going to be the IEBC. And I think this is a reminder of how far courts should go when we are dealing with parliamentary procedures or national things. Because while the judge who said that the IEBC should be reconstituted, he gave timelines and said it must be done within, while the judge was right according to the Constitution, how do you balance that with the National Dialogue Committee conversations? You see, it is a stark reminder of these processes. Don't come in the middle of a process that is still pending. And same thing I would say about the affordable housing. Don't come in the middle when the process is not complete. Let the processes of Parliament be finalized. And then if you want to make a judgment against whatever the product is, that's okay. But I think the judges should come out clear to discourage activism on the processes of the National Assembly and on the processes of the Senate.
Right, thank you. Right, let him have his closing remarks, then we'll give you a chance.
Thank you. While we mourn our brother Kelvin Kiptum, I think it is a stark reminder of where we are in terms of our road safety, and it's an opportunity that tomorrow, as we resume the third session of Parliament, it become one of those conversations so that we see what can be done, because we already have legislations in place. The law has fully, I would say, been enacted across the board. The challenges would be here and there in terms of implementation, in terms of the choice of the opportunities that are available, but it's an opportunity for us to have a conversation beyond just the road safety element. And two, as we also resume, there is so much in place. We have got the housing levy bill. We have got the threats on IEBC, where the courts have said go ahead and proceed with the recruitment process, and the threats on demonstrations which are coming. So it is a reminder of the fact that we should not appropriate and reprobate as Kenyans. If we are saying we want to have the independence of the judiciary, let's also be able to support it to be, as independent is supposed to be, as well as Parliament and the other arms of government.
Thank you.
The politics that come with it derails the gains that we have so far achieved.
Right, thank you. Faramali, closing remarks.
I have always myself been opposed to this. What I actually say is roguish, does not work anywhere else except in Kenya. It's called judicial overreach. The judges have no business trying to legislate from the bench. The judges rule on the basis of a law that's there, on a matter that's been brought before them, and the independence of the three arms of the government, the three arms of the state. There's something called the doctrine of non-justiciability. You don't tread into that. That's why a matter that's before the court cannot be debated by Parliament. The court, for them to try and venture into areas because of the, according to them, the plain face value of the Constitution. The plain face value of the Constitution says that you are entitled to clean air. Where do you go to court right now to seek a clean air because we don't have it here and outside there in the streets out there? You know what I mean? I mean, there is some things. It says in the U.S. the pursuit of happiness. How do you then go and arbitrate on the pursuit of happiness?
Thank you.
The areas that belong to they should say there's a lacuna in the law. Let Parliament create the law. The areas where what they call the executive has certain the independence, you don't. The independence of the three arms is unfettered and does not include interfering in the independence of one of the other.
Right, thank you.
And that basically, in my opinion, I think is what we should.
Yeah, just one. Thank you. We are winding up. As we wind up, I want to just thank you, gentlemen, for your contribution this morning and also for staying with me with this heart-wrenching story that we've been relaying here of Kelvin Kiptum. On the screen, you can see we have William Ruto, that is William Samoei Ruto, the president of Kenya. Kelvin Kiptum, he says, was a star, arguably one of the world's finest sportsmen who broke barriers to secure a marathon record. He was only 24 yet, as a hero, triumphed in Valencia, Chicago, London, and in other top competitions. His mental strength and discipline were unmatched. Kiptum was our future, an extraordinary sportsman, has left an extraordinary mark in the globe. Our thoughts are with the family and the sporting fraternity. Rest in peace. This is from the president. Also, we have Donald Kip Korir. At only 24, Kelvin Kiptum from my Elgeyo Marakwet County had conquered the world. He had broken all the records for marathon racing. Great marathoners raced to their early 40s. Kiptum had over 16 years ahead of him of blessing the world under his feet. Like all greats who die young, he rests with the gods. He joins the pantheon of gods in the heavens. Also, Mama Rachel Ruto, we are heartbroken to learn of the tragic passing of Kelvin Kiptum, a rising star in the world of marathon running alongside his coach, Gavais Hakizimana. Kelvin was a symbol of resilience, hard work, and the indomitable spirit of the Kenyan people. His dedication to his craft and his pursuit of greatness inspired countless individuals, both in Kenya and around the world. I extend my deepest condolences to the families, friends, teammates, and the entire Kenyan nation. Kelvin's memory will live on in the hearts of all who knew him, and his legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. Rest in peace. You will be dearly missed. Also, we can see the picture of him there with Sebastian Coe, the president of the World Athletics. He says, we are shocked and deeply saddened to learn of the devastating loss of Kelvin Kiptum and his coach, Gavais Hakizimana. On behalf of all World Athletics, we send our deepest condolences to their families, friends, teammates, and the Kenyan nation. It was only earlier this week in Chicago, the place where Kelvin sets his extraordinary marathon world record, that I was able to officially ratify his historic time. An incredible athlete, leaving an incredible legacy. We will miss him dearly. Sebastian there. Honorable Eden Duole, it is with a profound sense of sorrow that I have learned about the untimely passing of Kelvin Kiptum following a grisly accident in Eldoret. Kiptum, at only 24, was already a world marathon record holder with a whole horizon to conquer. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and the athletics fraternity. We have also Gladys Boschole. I'm devastated by the loss of Kelvin Kiptum and his coach. The memory of his hosting him and other athletes for lunch at my Kitusuru home is a bittersweet reminder of his infectious joy and the promising future he embodied. Rest in peace, Kiptum. Kalonzo Musyoka, the news of the untimely passing of Kelvin Kiptum deeply saddens us. 24-year-old Kiptum was one of the fastest rising stars in Kenya's, indeed, the world's athletic scene. His potential was limitless. Our thoughts and prayers are with Kiptum's family, indeed, the large athletics fraternity, and also the great David Rudisha. I'm shocked and deeply saddened to learn the passing of Kelvin Kiptum and his coach, Gavais Hakizimana. My condolences to his family, athletes, friends, athletic family, all fraternity, and Kenya at large. This is a huge loss, and indeed, it is a huge loss for our country and the entire world. We continue to cover apace this, of course, unfortunate story of losing Kelvin Kiptum in our news bulletins. Don't go away. News Diary is up next, and I want to thank my partners for that as well. Let us continue to stand in solidarity with the family. Our deepest sympathy and sincere condolences from here, KTN News.